Welcome to EVTN News. This is the first ever live stream. Now, with the live stream, I just didn't have time to do the graphics that you normally see on EVTN News, so I apologize for that. But you know how life happens, you know how there's a bunch of family events and all that good stuff. And so this summer, it's going to be kind of spotty on whether or not I'm able to do EVTN or if I have to do the live stream. Anyway, I'm going to try to make this pretty straightforward. And I'm going to start with Vigano, EVTN News, Eternal Vigano Television Network. So Vigano, he gave his reaction to the Summorum Pontificum rumors. I was waiting for that, and he released a letter. It was a very long letter. I'm going to read you a few quotes from it. He said, in reality, the letter of the motu proprio of Summorum Pontificum and the implementing documents associated with it was never completely applied. And he said that the priests still have to ask their bishops for permission to say the Old Mass. Another quote, he said, there is nothing more opposed to the so-called magisterium of Vatican II than the Tridentine liturgy. Every prayer, every periscope, as liturgists would say, constitutes an affront to the delicate ears of the innovators. Every ceremony is an offense to their eyes. I exhort my brothers in the episcopate, priests, and laity to strenuously defend their right to the Catholic liturgy solemnly sanctioned by the St. Pius V's bull Quo Primum, and by means of it to defend the Holy Church and the papacy, which have both been exposed to discredit and ridicule which have both been exposed to discredit and ridicule by the pastors themselves. The question of the motu proprio is not the least negotiable because it reaffirms the legitimacy of a right that has never been abrogated nor is able to be abrogated. It's very long. It's a very long article, letter, whatever you want to call it. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and read it. I think Taylor Marshall had a video on that as well, so you can check that out. And that's all I'm going to talk about for that. The next news topic, which has been talked about for a while, was a French diocese that got rid of their FSSP parish. And I think, I'm not sure if it was one or two parishes, but it's the Archbishop of Dijon, Roland Minerath, in France, has expelled the FSSP from the diocese. They are to leave by September, and they've only been there for 23. Okay, that's Father Z's commentary. They've only been there for 23 years. So I don't know. Is this a crackdown based on the Summorum Pontificum rumors? I don't know. But it's very concerning for this situation to occur. I don't think in America, if this happened, that the diocese would. I don't think that the bishop would. I think he'd be met with a lot of resistance. Let's just say that if any bishop in America tried to do this, in France, like, why don't you protest? Like, come on, people. I think there was the case. That was the case with one of the traditionalist parishes in France from years ago. I don't know if it had to do with the SSPX or not, but these lay people were locked out of their church, and so they took a battering ram and broke down the door. And there's a video of it. There's videos of it online, so check that out. But this is something that I don't know. I mean, with the Summorum Pontificum rumors, yeah, there might be some truth to it, but at the same time, don't be a Chicken Little trad. The sky is falling, that kind of stuff. So I think there's a lot of reaction to this already online as well, so check out some of the other reactions, but it's definitely not Catholic. I'll just say that. Cardinal Walter Casper of Germany had an interesting insight on the German synodal path. He says, here's a quote from him. He says, I am very concerned and I'm careful with a final overall judgment. So far, we have heard individuals, sometimes shrill voices in individual groups that are noisy in public. We do not yet have a final text. At first, it might not have been good to let the different opinions have their say unfiltered, but it goes beyond my imagination that demands such as the abolition of celibacy and the ordination of women could end up in a two-thirds majority in the bishops' conference or reach a consensus in the universal church. The synodal way is structurally weak. It is neither a synod nor a mere dialogue process. Now, at the beginning, it is a process of dialogue. Then the bishops' conference has the floor, and finally, as far as the universal church demands are concerned, it is the Pope's turn. Moreover, every bishop is free to accept whatever he sees fit in his diocese. In view of the obvious disagreement among German bishops, it is difficult to imagine how all this can be brought to a common denominator. In addition, there is an even more serious substantive birth defect. So, Cardinal Casper, one of the German cardinals that you would expect who would support the synodal path, is very concerned about the synodal path. And he's saying, well, this probably couldn't achieve a consensus. So this is your bizarre news. I mean, I saw this and I was like, really? Like, what's he trying to say? But he's seems to be opposed to the German synodal path. So it's losing ground very quickly, and we'll see what happens with that in the church in Germany. And another article about church in Germany, there was a Dubia submitted, and you know how Dubias go. But it looks like this was submitted by a layperson. Andre Wichmann from Bochum in Western Germany told Catholic News Agency on June 9th that he and two others had submitted the dubium out of great concern about unity. And the trio from the Diocese of Essen have submitted a dubium to the Vatican asking if the church in Germany is in schism. And so it would be very good to find out the answer of what the Vatican thinks about this. Of course, as I mentioned, dubia, that it doesn't always get answered. And you can ask another German, a German cardinal, Cardinal Brandmuller, about that, because his dubia over Amoris Laetitia was ignored for, is it 4 years? And oh, by the way, happy birthday, Bishop Gracida. I'm pretty sure today is Bishop Rene Henry Gracita's birthday. It's his 98th birthday. So very happy birthday to Bishop Gracida. I wish him many more years. 98's a pretty long time to live, but hopefully he'll live many more years, and he seems to be of sound mind. He's posting on his blog. So happy birthday, Bishop Gracida. And the next item we have is a rabbi offers a religious exemption card. Rabbi Michael Green served as the envoy for the Hasidic movement in Westboro, Massachusetts for nearly 2 decades. He's been removed from his posts for sharing his honest opinions about the jab. He's offering a religious exemption card for those who wish to, participate in all the events that require you being jabbed, or that exempt you from wearing certain articles of clothing over your face. And the reason I mention a rabbi is, people might say, well, who cares about what's going on in the Jewish faith? Well, it would be nice if bishops were doing the same thing as this, if they were offering a religious exemption card. Because, Bishop Strickland has said, well, I'm concerned about the jab and its connection to abortion, the abortion-tainted jab. And, other priests have raised this concern as well. And so if they could offer a religious exemption card, wouldn't that be great? I think it would. What do you guys think? And it looks like the last item that I have here on this list for EVTN is Archbishop Dennis Schnurr of Cincinnati says he never signed the pro-Biden USCCB letter. So if you'll recall, I had a video called Biden Bishops. And bishops signed this letter saying that they wanted to not discuss the topic of denying pro-abortion politicians communion at the USCCB meeting. And there were a list of, I think it was like 47 bishops, somewhere around there. And so Archbishop Dennis Schnurr of Cincinnati, his communications director, told The Pillar that Archbishop Schnurr was approached this spring about a letter being organized to be sent to Archbishop Gomez, the president of the USCCB. And while Archbishop Schnurr did not say no to signing such a letter, he did say that he would need to see a copy of the text before he could agree to add his name. He never received a copy of the letter. What do you think about that? I think it's pretty shady. And knowing it was either Archbishop or Cardinal Gregory or Cardinal Supich who organized this letter. And being that this archbishop spoke up and said, "Hey, I never received a copy of the letter." Like, I think, you know, I don't know if I really I don't know if I really should criticize the bishops for saying, "Can you send me a copy of the letter?" I mean, if any bishop would be interested in seeing what other bishops have to say about it, so it doesn't hurt to have a copy of the draft to see, what's going on. But he's saying he never he never agreed to sign the letter because he didn't see the letter. So that's an interesting point there, and it kind of brings to mind the process of communion in the hand in the I think it was around 77, 78 in the United States. I wasn't alive, but Cardinal Bernardine at the USCCB, he requested he wanted communion in the hand. He requested a vote of the bishops for communion to approve communion in the hand, and it didn't pass at that meeting. But Cardinal Bernardine took a list of the names of bishops who weren't at the meeting, and he, I guess, because they weren't there, and so he just said, "Well, I'm going to assume that these people voted yes," and then it passed. So he more or less manipulated the vote, and and this isn't really a vote. But in terms of adding people's names to the list, it's almost like, hey, we'll add this person's name to the list. Like, okay, John the Son of Thunder is in favor of this. I'll just put his name down without showing him what the document is, or, letting him know that we're putting his name down. And being that there were a number of the auxiliary bishops from Chicago, Washington, and Newark, New Jersey. I don't know if that was all of the auxiliary bishops from those dioceses or not, but I wonder if they actually read the text of the letter. And like I said, I pointed out auxiliary bishop Joseph Perry of Chicago. He seems like a good one. He goes around saying all these Latin masses, and his name appeared on the list. And I wonder if some of them were able to even see a copy, or if they had a choice whether or not their name appeared on the list. And that would be a reasonable suspicion based on what Archbishop Schnurr is saying, or what he's claiming here. If he is telling the truth, which I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he is telling the truth here. I think, it's pretty reasonable to think that. Otherwise, he's lying, and that's a really bad look. He's trying to kind of save his reputation. But for the rest of the bishops, what's their excuse? I wish they'd get on board here, make a statement, and if any of their names are added to the list without their knowledge, I would encourage them to discuss that, make a public statement, and that would be good. And so that's the last item I have, but I do want to mention that tomorrow I do want to do a live stream USCCB preview. That will be tomorrow afternoon, or evening, I guess. And the USCCB meeting is June 16th to 18th. And so I will be posting video clips of the USCCB. I'll discuss that a lot more in tomorrow's live stream. And for upcoming events, like I said at the beginning of the video, I might have to do another EVTN live stream next week, just because, like I said, life happens. There's a lot of sacraments going on in my family, and so it's going to be pretty interesting. I'm going to have a very busy week, and I'm sure you are all busy as well. And that's not an excuse. It's just saying, hey, I just don't have the time to do EVTN video editing every week. So I apologize for that. I have a lot of good ideas for videos. You'll see them come out in the near future. I do want to highlight some different aspects of the Catholic faith, and it's going to be pretty cool. And I have some more ideas for different videos. So that's all I have for today for EVTN. Hopefully this was pretty informative. I always try to pick the news that maybe you may not see. Sometimes you will. Taylor Marshall talked about several of these things. You can always find this news at Canon 212. Frank Walker does a really good job of reading every single news article and posting the important ones. And so I encourage you to go there if you're a fan. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. This has been EVTN News, and we self-identify as the #1 news channel. I know someone actually commented on that. They said, "Oh, you self-identify as the #1 news channel," and I don't have the comment right in front of me, but it was pretty funny. They didn't get it. I don't know, but anyway, we are the laity, and we will not be silent.